ASMR Magical Tools. Welcome back. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. This is my emotional support creature. Can either be Archie or Tristan. But this is not a Squishmallow sponsored video. I am going to be separating the ephemera from the crystal scrying video and uploading it separately on Thursdays. Because the crystal scrying videos are already quite long, I do feel like the astrology is an important part of the week also. So I'm going to split up the videos. It gives me more uploads too if I do that. If you have any opinions about it, please let me know down in the comments. I am also considering doing a weekly tarot spread. Something much smaller than the monthly spreads, but still for each astrological sign. So let me know what you think about that as well. So this is going to be for the week of August 2nd through August 8th. August 8th. The sun is now in Leo. The moon is going to start the week going from Taurus into Gemini, and then by the end of the week, the moon will also be in the sign of Leo. We will also have a new moon occurring on Sunday the 8th, and that new moon will be in Leo. So let's talk about Monday, August 2nd. There is an overnight energy that carries over from the past week, and that is that the sun in Leo is in opposition to Saturn in Aquarius. So, if you live on the East Coast, that transit will be coming through around 2:15 in the morning. If you live on the West Coast, you will have experienced that transit on Sunday, August 1st at 11:14 at night. So, this opposition, remember that Saturn is retrograde right now. And the sun in Leo is illuminating matters that are close to your heart. And so this Saturn in Aquarius retrograde, remember, is all about parts of the status quo, which are digging in their heels, and doubling down on Monday the 2nd, we are going to be experiencing the 6th mansion of the moon, which is Al-Hana, which means a mark. This lunar mansion is good for form, wisdom, bonds of attraction, affinity, friendship, love, but it is not good for establishing things which you would like to have last for a long time. So I would recommend any kind of magic that you would be doing to ingratiate yourself to other people. Whether that's love magic or magic to bring in new friendships and new alliances. I actually do more of that kind of magic. You can do glamories and things like that too, to make yourself more appealing to others. Of course, as I said before, that's not going to be good for establishing things you want to last for a long time, but it will be good for bringing in people, and that way you have a chance of meeting someone with whom you might have a long-term friendship or relationship. The moon in Taurus, is going to be square Jupiter, which is retrograde and has backed up into the sign of Aquarius. So we have a lot of fixed energy between this opposition between the Sun and Saturn, and then this square between the Moon and Jupiter. That is going to be occurring right before the Moon moves into Gemini, so that's what they call void of course, is the last placement that the last transit the Moon is part of before it changes signs. So that's going to occur 40 minutes past midnight on the west coast and 40 minutes past 3 a.m. on the east coast, the witching hours to be sure. This square, so Jupiter in Aquarius, is good for expanding your social groups, which would be a very good energy to have in the 6th lunar mansion. The Moon in Taurus, there's an emphasis on emotional comfort. So, in order to meet these new people, it's going to put a strain on your comfort zone. So that's what happens when you have this square placement. It's going to create tension. Around 1:45 a.m. on the west coast and 4:45 a.m. on the east coast, the Moon is then going to enter the sign of Gemini. This Moon in Gemini is good for emotive communication, and it can be good for communicating about things which are unclear. And also good for finding out things about your immediate surroundings, perhaps that are slightly obfuscated at this time. The Moon in Gemini is then going to square Mars, which is in the sign of Virgo right now. Mars in Virgo. And that's going to be occurring more like in the middle of the morning hours. So, Mars in Virgo energy is possibly trying to aggressively housekeeping. You might be finding yourself pushing these things on other people, or you might have other people pushing these things on you. So where we have this square between the moon in Gemini and Mars in Virgo, there might be a meeting of the homeowners association, for example, and they are fining people for not cutting their grass short enough, or for growing the wrong kind of ornamentals in their yard, or something like that. Or that people need to get their driveways fixed. I think you get the idea. It might not be that exact situation, but that's kind of an archetypal situation that I think a lot of people can understand. In the evening hours, later into the night, Mercury in the sign of Leo is going to be trine Chiron, which is retrograde in Aries. So, this Chiron in Aries, you might be having to revisit the things about yourself which you thought you had already worked on and healed. And this could be in regards to situations where you have little patience. It could be situations where you've started something and not finished it, not followed it through. This Mercury in Leo is communication from the heart, but also could be communication about matters of love, romance rather. Communication about romance. It could be communication about creative projects, or it could be about one's children, one's childhood, or communication with your parents. So this trine is going to create a harmonious situation to revisit this possible Chiron in Aries situation that you might need to work on further. We have two overnight energies. One of them is the moon in Gemini is trine Saturn in Aquarius, which remember is retrograde right now. Okay, so remember, moon in Gemini could be finding things out about your neighborhood or surroundings which have been unclear. It could also be communication about emotions or emotional states. This is more about how you are feeling and less about the emotional reciprocity you have with others. That would be more like Venus energy, but the moon also has a lot to do with the ebb and flow of your personal emotional states. And remember, this Saturn retrograde in Aquarius is things about the establishment or the hierarchy, how things are that are digging in their heels right now and resisting change. So this trine is going to be, it's an air trine, so it's going to be conducive to things like communication, logic, and fluidity. The fluidity of air, not the fluidity of water necessarily, but because the moon is involved, there could be fluidity of water also. And then the other overnight energy that we will be looking necessarily a great place to have your Venus. I personally have Venus in Virgo. It's in my first house, and I'm very touch averse and very particular about how I am interacted with physically. So this Uranus in Taurus, and I am bringing it up for a reason. I'm not just trying to overshare. I did wink at my spouse off camera. But you could pretend I'm winking at you if you want. Uranus in Taurus. Uranus in Taurus. Uranus in Taurus is about situations where there might be jointly held property. It can also be about comfort levels across social groups. Comfort levels across social groups. And new ideas regarding your financial security. So Venus in Virgo, this overnight energy, we have a little bit coming in here where you have the potential to bring order to your finances, especially if you're talking about finances in the context of a group setting. So within an organization possibly, or if you have roommates, all of you might sit down and work out finances late into the night, and this trine energy would be very good for that. If you are doing some kind of spell work where you want to get information about how to better bring in finances, and it has to do with social groups, this would be a wonderful placement to utilize for divination also. So let's talk about Tuesday, August 3rd. Tuesday. We have the two overnight transits, which we talked about in the Monday segment, and that is the moon in Gemini, trine Saturn, retrograde in Aquarius, and Venus in Virgo, which is trine Uranus in Taurus. Uranus in Taurus. On Tuesday, August 3rd, the moon will be moving into the 7th lunar mansion, which is Altira, the forearm. And this lunar mansion is good for, there's the divine throne is there, the cosmic axis pole, center of the universe type energies, glorification, supplication, invocation, gain. But remember that in order to receive help, it's important for you to know the right way to ask for help. This is a great energy for asking for that kind of help, though. Sorry, my stomach's all gurgly. So at 12:30 in the morning on the West Coast and 3:30 a.m. on the East Coast, the moon in Gemini is going to be sextile the sun in Leo. So this is going to open up a lot of this sextile would be like maybe you find a store right around the corner from your house that sells things that help you with a creative project of some kind, like an art supply store or a hardware store or something like that. Something like that. That would be that kind of energy. Now, because this is happening very early in the morning, this could be coming through in your dream states, but you could also be just wandering around your neighborhood at night, which I cannot do in my own neighborhood, so just be safe out there. Or flipping through Google Maps at that hour, possibly as well, which is something I definitely do. So the next transit is going to come through around 3:45 in the morning on the west coast of the United States and 6:45 on the east coast of the United States. And that's going to be the moon in Gemini, sextile Chiron, which is retrograde in Aries. Chiron retrograde in Aries. So remember, we are revisiting things that we feel like we already have fixed about ourselves that are related to those Chiron and Aries energies. Beginning things and not finishing them. Impatience and selfishness. This moon in Gemini can also be communicating with siblings or communicating with people who are very close to us about our emotional headspace and where we are. So that could be a situation where, in order to work on yourself, that you are having to communicate to others about your emotional headspace, your own personal emotional inner workings. That's very early in the morning, but maybe you're up writing an email or sending someone a text message. Sending someone a text. Closer to the middle of the morning, there's going to be another sextile with the moon in Gemini and Mercury in Leo. So that Mercury in Leo is communication about matters of the heart and things about which you are passionate. So that could be a carryover of this previous sextile energy with the Chiron retrograde in Aries. Those are both fire signs also. So that's another reason why I'm saying that. So we have the sextile with the sun in Leo. We have a sextile with Chiron in Aries, which is retrograde. And then we have this sextile with Mercury in Leo. So all of those situations could be very interconnected with each other. Later in the morning, there's going to be a square between the moon in Gemini and Venus in Virgo. So this square is going to create tension, right? Remember all of these things that I've said about Venus in Virgo and how it's a very detail-oriented energy related to romance and finance. So there's a lot of potential there for neuroses or misunderstandings, because the more detail-oriented your relationship is, the less flexibility there is for spontaneity and for the other person to express themselves. These are things that I've really studied in depth regarding Venus and Virgo. It's not all bad. because this square is with the moon in Gemini, and those are both mutable energies. Mutable. There is the potential for change there. And moon in Gemini, again, you could find out things about your surroundings. You could find out things about a sibling, possibly, that create tension in a relationship, and you're paying attention to like details. It could also be communication about emotional states that you are experiencing personally, and because of Venus in Virgo, then that is related to details of a relationship. And then also later in the evening, we're going to see Mercury in Leo. Is going to be square Uranus in Taurus. And Mercury in Leo, communication about matters of the heart, matters you're passionate about, new ideas also regarding those things. This can be about creative ideas, romantic ideas. And then this Uranus in Taurus energy is about the comfort and stability of groups of people. So this being a square energy, if you're in a marriage and you are communicating some creative ideas for the bedroom with your partner, and the situation is kind of awkward because you haven't really talked about these things before, and it's and it could affect the rest of your life together potentially. If something goes wrong, that's the kind of thing that would create tension, right, in a relationship, but it doesn't have to be about that. It could also be securing financing for a movie and having to go to a group of investors who are very attached to their financial resources as a group, and communicating to them about this creative idea. The movie could also be something you consider like a child. So those are just some situations that might fit those would be like archetypical for that energy. And then we have an overnight energy, and that is the moon in Gemini, and that is square Neptune, which is retrograde now in Pisces. Pisces, spicy Pisces. And this is also going to start an opportune period, but I will talk about that when I talk about Wednesday. This placement of the moon in Gemini square Neptune in Pisces. Neptune in Pisces is retrograde too. So a lot of mental, expansive energy, things being very fluid, and anything is possible, nothing is forbidden type when it comes to your headspace and your psychic expansion. So then with the moon in Gemini, there could be communication coming in about other people's emotional headspace, right? So you could walk into a room and kind of start hearing a lot of other people's mental chatter. You'd be hearing their mental chatter, picking up on conversations in other people's apartments and things like that. So that would also create tension. Let's talk about Wednesday, August 4th. mentioned that the moon in Gemini squaring Neptune retrograde in Pisces was going to start an opportune period during the overnight hours between Tuesday, August 3rd and Wednesday, August 4th. And that opportune period is going to last for about, give or take, like 12 and a half hours. So like on the West Coast, that would be like right before midnight until half past noon. And then on the East Coast, that's going to be right about 3 a.m. until half past 3 in the afternoon. So about 12 and a half hour opportune period. And that's going to be the last quarter moon opportune period, which is an excellent time to get in touch with others and finish up projects. The lunar mansion that we will be in on August 4th is the 8th lunar mansion called Al-Nathra, or the Gap. Putting things on pedestals, treating things like pearls, numinous support, which I think is financial support, victorious energies, alliance, conquest, and a good time to ask about love and marriage. Good time to ask about love and marriage. So, indeed, a good time to get in touch with others and finish up projects. There will be an opportunity for action very early in the morning, so around 4:30 on the West Coast and around 7:30 on the East Coast of the United States, which could be right around the time that some of you get into the office for work on Wednesday. The moon in Gemini is going to quincunx that Pluto retrograde in Capricorn. Pluto retrograde in Capricorn, right? Which has been creating a lot of job volatility. In this case, it might be a good thing because you have the opportunity, if you find out something about your work environment, for example, if something is brought to light, you can make proactive changes that could be very beneficial to you. Also, communication about people's headspaces within the office might clear the air. Clear the air. This would be more about like with the moon energy, you're looking possibly more at like emotional ideas, but it could be ideas about the well-being of people who work in the office too, and making positive changes for that. So then when the moon is void, of course, is going to be the last transit that it forms before it goes into Cancer. We have that moon in Gemini trine Jupiter retrograde in Aquarius. And Jupiter in Aquarius, remember, is wonderful for expanding social groups. Because it's retrograde, you might have people coming back into your social group that you haven't spoken to in a long time. And, of course, everyone communicating about their emotional headspace or finding out things about their neighborhood and surroundings. And trines are just generally harmonious environments because they are like energies. So this is an air trine, so good for communication, good for ideas, and good for spreading things around the way that air would dust the world with pollen or something like that. And then in the afternoon, the moon is going to enter also in the afternoon, the sun in Leo is going to be trine Chiron, retrograde in Aries. So this sun in Leo is the sun in its native sign, and it's matters close to the heart. And because of this Chiron retrograde in Aries, revisiting things that you feel like you've already fixed about yourself that might be cropping up again regarding selfishness, beginning things and not finishing them, or impatience. This sun in Leo trine is going to create a conducive energy to heal those parts of yourself wonderfully. And could be good for a creative project too. If you started a creative project a long time ago, it might be circling around again. And then we have an overnight energy, which is the moon, now in Cancer, sextile Mars in Virgo. And remember that Mars in Virgo energy, you might be getting a little aggressive about the tidiness of an office, or being very proactive about organization, things like that. This moon in Cancer, the moon being in its native sign. I'm so sorry, my stomach is really gurgly right now. The moon in Cancer is very much about the emotional states, the ebb and flow, and how there's a reciprocity between people regarding emotional states. And this forming a sextile. Sextiles are fairly harmonious also. They're like trines in some ways, but it is between a water sign and an earth sign. Water sign and earth sign. Water sign and earth sign, who are two signs apart with Leo in between, right? So that slim angle makes for a very harmonious situation. So it could be a good time to organize, because other people will be open to discussions about their feelings and opinions regarding certain things. But because this is an overnight energy, it might be a late night project, and some people are into that and some people aren't. Some people are and some people aren't. Let's talk now about August 5th, which is a Thursday. There was an overnight energy carried over from Wednesday the 4th, which was the moon in Cancer, sextile Mars in Virgo. We will be moving into the 9th lunar mansion, which is Al-Tarf, meaning the eyes. The eyes have it. Has to do with divine wrath, severity, disempowerment, infirmity, frustration, misfortune, negative answers to questions. This would be a good lunar mansion energy if you were trying to cause illness in another person, which of course I do not endorse. Do not endorse. In the middle of the morning, the moon in Cancer is quincunx Saturn in Aquarius. spark some action regarding how establishments and hierarchies are fighting change. In the afternoon, there's going to be a square between the moon in Cancer and Chiron, which is retrograde in Aries. Chiron retrograde in Aries. That could be related to situations from the quincunx with Saturn in Aquarius, certainly. The moon in Cancer, again, dealing with people's emotional states. Chiron in Aries, things returning that we feel like we've already healed about ourselves, regarding selfishness, regarding starting things and not finishing them, possibly regarding early childhood or something like that. So people's emotional states are going to create tension where that is concerned. And then in the evening, there's going to be a sextile between the moon in Cancer and Uranus in Taurus. So this sextile is a very harmonious placement. And Uranus in Taurus has to do with shared property, possibly, and also novel ideas regarding people's financial security. So this will be an excellent follow-up energy to that quincunx with Saturn in Aquarius, and it might be related to those things in some way also. Next, we're looking at Friday, August 6th. And this is when the moon is moving into the 10th lunar mansion called Al-Jabha, or the brow. I'm sorry about my gurgly stomach. I know this is like the 16th time I've apologized. So they're talking about the brow of the lion, the brow of Leo the lion, and the star of Regulus is also in this mansion. So the moon is technically not going to enter. It's kind of a weird crossover. So this is like the tail end of Cancer into Leo, and then the moon is going to enter Leo like about midnight or so on Saturday the next day. So that's kind of how that all works. It's kind of like the crossover point between the two signs, right? And this lunar mansion has to do with power, success, aid, healing, recovery, improvement, help, increasing strength, and it's good for questions of love and friendship. Love and friendship. So, early in the morning, very early, the moon in Cancer is going to be sextile Venus in Virgo. So that very fastidious energy around finances and love, aided by this reciprocity of emotional understanding with each other and how we relate to one another and our emotional ebb and flow. opposition to Pluto in Capricorn. Pluto in Capricorn, which of course is retrograde, right? So, this energy is going to have a lot of tension. There's going to be a lot of tension in any situations that are related to this transit. Pluto in Capricorn being very much changing, very volatile, and related to career and to people's ability to utilize the things around them to help them succeed financially, right? So, understanding and emotional states can be good for that, but sometimes it can just create tension. So this will be one of those situations where it's just going to create a bunch of tension. Later in the evening, the sun in Leo is going to be square Uranus in Taurus. Uranus in Taurus. This square sun in Leo is going to be highlighting all the things you're passionate about: creativity, romance, your children, your own childhood, your parents, your relationship with your parents, etc., etc., etc. And so, this Uranus in Taurus is how is everyone going to get better financial security. So, you could be creating tension with your creative passion in situations where people are really looking for stability and security. It's not bad, it's just going to create tension. But with tension is the potential for change. We're going to have an overnight energy, which is the moon in Cancer, quincunx Jupiter in Aquarius. Jupiter in Aquarius is retrograde, and remember, this is going to be very expansive as regards like social groups and new ideas, and it could be people returning to your social circles from the past, people with whom you may have lost touch. This is going to be an overnight energy, so maybe you are at a party on a Friday night or something like that, and your moon in Cancer, that emotional energy is going to drive this this action of the quincunx. And you will still be getting some of the benefits of the 10th lunar mansion, which is good for success, increasing strength, and of course questions of love and friendship. Saturday is August 7th. August 7th. Coming up on my birthday, I'd like to take this opportunity to wish any of my Leo sun sign viewers who will be experiencing a solar return this week a very happy birthday. Very happy birthday. Very happy birthday. I did mention the overnight energy for Friday, which is the moon in Cancer, quincunx Jupiter retrograde in Aquarius. And remember that Jupiter was in Aquarius before and went into Pisces, and now because it has retrograded, it has gone back into Aquarius. So that has the potential to bring up situations from that period of time. Also, I believe it was like December through May or something like that, when Jupiter was previously in Aquarius. has to do with lordship, mastery, numinous charisma, so possibly charisma that translates into financial success, like the Queen of Wands, right? Reverence, awe, worship, and prestige. Worship and prestige. So the moon is going to be moving into the sign of Leo about midnight on the west coast and 3 a.m. on the east coast, and that is in the United States, Western Hemisphere at large, so to speak. And then our next placements are in the evening. Our next transits occur later in the evening, so the moon in Leo is going to be in opposition to Saturn in Aquarius. And this could be bringing things to light about your passions that are in direct opposition to what is going on in the status quo, the establishment, and the and hierarchies that are digging in their heels and resisting change. And that's going to be going on in the evening of Saturday, August 7th. And then also in the evening, we have Mercury, also in the sign of Leo. Quincunx Neptune, retrograde in Pisces. And remember, this expansive Neptune in Pisces energy is very good for psychic attunement and awareness, and also transmission. If you are a little psychic radio station, this Mercury in Leo energy is going to be you transmitting these ideas and communication about your passions. And with that quincunx there, whether you are transmitting psychic information or receiving it, it's a very good time to take action based on your psychic awareness of situations. This would also be a good time for worship and possibly petition of a higher power, because Neptune in Pisces is a wonderful placement for that as well. So Mercury in Leo being that communication about your passions, and the quincunx being the action, worship, and petition. So finally, Sunday, August 8th, we have a new moon in Leo, new moon in the sign of Leo, and that is going to be the 12th lunar mansion, Al-Sarfa, which is the tail of Leo. This house, this lunar mansion, has to do with strife, combat, separation, constriction, hindrance of movement, so great for binding spells, conflict, and the sign itself, Al-Sarfa, is the tail of Leo, but it also is imagery related to fighting dragons, that tail, which could also be in the shape of a dragon, or a wyvern. For those of you who are dragon purists, please don't come after me. Or possibly a serpent. Everyone, give me your favorite kinds of dragon in the comments if you feel like it. So, after midnight on the west coast and after 3 a.m. on the east coast, there's going to be a trine between the moon in Leo Aries. And remember what I've been saying about Chiron in Aries retrograde. You could be revisiting something that you had started and never followed up with or finished. So this moon in Leo trine is going to be excellent for any kind of creative project coming back to light that you might have abandoned in the past. The moon in Leo early in the morning is going to square Uranus in Taurus. Square Uranus in Taurus. And that is going to be like around 4 on the west coast and 7 on the east coast. So some of you might be getting into work around that time. So that moon in Leo energy, things coming to light about your passions possibly, or emotional attachment that you have personally to your passions, or to your children, or to a creative project. You get the idea. Where it's squaring this Uranus and Taurus, that is going to have to do with people's comfort levels. I feel like there was a similar placement. Like Mercury in Leo, squaring Uranus and Taurus back on Tuesday, August 3rd. That's going to be communication about those things. With the moon, it could be things coming to light. Yes, and then again on Friday, August 6th, the sun in Leo is going to be squaring Uranus and Taurus. So, there could be things from Tuesday, August 3rd, and also Friday, August 6th, that come back up again on the morning of Sunday, August 8th. And I said that some of you might be getting into work on that time, but it is Sunday, so I know not very many people actually go to work on Sundays. But some of you who make your own schedule, maybe you're early risers or something like that. I'm just throwing scenarios out there, and hopefully some of them resonate with you in a way that you can apply to your own life. But anyway, that could be some of these things coming back around again. There's going to be a conjunction between the sun and moon, of course, because it's a new moon. So that's going to occur around 6:50 in the morning on the west coast and 9:50 in the morning on the east coast. So that new moon is not going to be during your overnight hours, but that's okay. And of course, the sun and moon in Leo, we're enveloping everything in this emotional energy, bathing it in the essence of your pure self, the energy of the sun, and having to do with creative projects and passions and possibly romance and things like that. In the evening, the moon in Leo is going to be quincunx Neptune retrograde in Pisces. Neptune retrograde in Pisces. Remember, this is a very intensely psychic placement, so that could be driving some action regarding the moon in Leo. It's possible that you have something come to light about, maybe you have a psychic vision about a child and you contact them, or something regarding romance, or something regarding a creative project. Any of those things are possible. And it's early enough in the evening that if you act on any of these things, it won't be too late. We do have a couple of overnight placements. So, drumroll please. The moon and Mercury are going to be conjunct in Leo. And that's going to be around 10:45 p.m. on the west coast. which is then 1:45 a.m. on the East Coast. East Coast. So this is communication about these things. You could have taken this action, which then sparks communication, right? And then shortly after that transit comes in the moon in Leo. Quincunx. So further driving action. And it is quincunx to Pluto retrograde in Capricorn. And that is going to have to do with ways to better utilize the things around you to your benefit and to help you progress in your life, which is why Capricorn is associated with career energies. This can have to do with practical aspects also, so the practicality of your creative projects could be